What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Make an Impact podcast with real stories, real people, and real impact. My name's Turnbull. I'm an entrepreneur, husband, and father on a mission to empower individuals to share their stories so they can make an impact on you. We have Anthony, the Eat Local New York guy, on today. Super great story. He's an influencer for restaurants. He goes and tries out different meals and helps restaurants gain following and all this great stuff. Started with an idea, and one night he went home and started an Instagram account, and fast forward to today, up to 250 followers across different platforms. Such a great conversation. I know you're going to enjoy it. Let's get into Anthony from Eat Local New York. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Make an Impact podcast. We got Anthony Tringale in the house. Eat Local New York. How are you today, sir?
Good, man. How are you?
I appreciate you taking the time, driving in for this. Super excited to, I love it. I've talked, we're on episode 28, I believe. And I've had some people that I just know in the community or some people I don't know at all. So I'm like, hey, listeners, I don't know them either. So I'm just super excited. I've been following you along with all the Eat Local stuff. And nice. I just want to hear the story behind it and learn more about you. So I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, of course.
So tell us a story, Eat Local. How did it all start? Tell us a little bit about your upbringing. I know you said you grew up in Kentucky and then came here, but introduce us to Anthony.
Yeah, grew up in Kentucky, born and raised until I was 13. Dad's from Syracuse, mom's from Kentucky, so we moved back to Syracuse when I was 13, and I went to high school at West Hill, graduated in 2005. My parents had a diner in Kentucky that they owned for about a year, and so I was homeschooled. I was at like maybe 10 or 11, and I was homeschooled at that time, and my parents they started off as a 24/7 diner and then switched to like just breakfast to dinner. But my parents would wake up early and go in to the diner for breakfast. And somebody at some point, maybe my mom or family member or friend, somebody at church would come and pick me up around 1 o'clock and bring me up to the restaurant. And they'd never had a dishwasher in the morning shift. And so they would be all those dishes. And so I would go in there and I would go in there and be a dishwasher, clean all those dishes from the lunch rush. And then there'd be this hour block from 3 to 4 or 2 to 3 where they didn't have a server, a cook, or a dishwasher on staff. And so my parents would let me take a table if somebody came in, help my dad in the kitchen cook the food, wash the dishes. And so that was my first experience with it. And it was a rough year. Rough year of building the restaurant out and then having it open. Our family was just up there all the time for every holiday, every day of the week. I mean, everybody was just at my brothers who were in high school. Yeah, they were working. My sister was in college. When she would come home, she would work. Her friends would work. I mean, it was just crazy. And
it was the lifestyle.
It was the lifestyle, and that's restaurants. Yeah. So that was my first experience with it. And they shut it down after about a year. And so when I moved back, fast forward a bunch of years, I moved back to Syracuse about a decade ago from living out near Austin, and started a side hustle just doing social media management for restaurants. And 2 years into that journey, I met a restaurant owner who needed some help. She opened up a restaurant. She was a branch manager at a local bank, loved to cook, and anytime there was a family gathering, she did all the cooking and brought her so much joy, and her friends and family were like, you love this so much, you're so talented, you should open a restaurant and follow your dream. And famous last words, unfortunately she fell for it and emptied her savings account, 401k, put everything she had into opening up a restaurant. And she could cook, but that was it. And that's a fraction of what makes a restaurant. I won't even say successful. Good food is a fraction of what helps a restaurant stay open.
Sure.
Because very few are actually successful. So 6 months into her being open, she was going out of business. I mean, she had no money left. She had just spent $2,000 on an ad in Clipper magazine, and you can guess how much business that brought her. And this is 8 years ago. So even then, I met her, gave her a bunch of advice on social media, what to do. And anyways, I left the meeting and walking in the parking lot, I just thought, man, I wish I had an Instagram account I could post right now and get 50 people to show up, and it's not going to save her, but it's going to, give her some hope. And so that night I was sitting at home and created the Instagram account.
That's so cool. So what were you doing for a career at that point?
I was a sales manager for Metro Mattress, RIP, just went out of business. Yeah.
One of the last original sales managers right here, huh?
Yeah.
That's what we really should talk about then.
Actually, my first job at Metro Mattress, I don't know how many years and years ago, was because I worked for them before I moved to Texas. Was actually Yorkville, their location right down there.
What I want to get into all the things of like starting Instagram, but one thing that you talked about and shared is like the family business and the diner and like that experience. Like, what do you think that experience as a young boy growing up taught you about, today's age of running your own business and all that?
It sucks. Don't do it. That's what it taught me. Never open a restaurant. Yeah, I'd say those are the important ones. Owning a restaurant is awful. It is a terrible experience. Like one of the worst things I think somebody could choose to do with their life. I used to during the pandemic? When was it? We had this friend of the family, old friend of the family who, I forget what I was posting. I think it was it was during the pandemic. I was like really into smoking meat, making bread, and making pizzas at home. And I would post pictures on my personal social. And this friend of the family would comment like on everything and be like, "You've got to open up your own restaurant one day.
Yeah.
It's in your blood, your dad, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, dude, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Like owning a restaurant is awful, a terrible experience. Very few people should do it. Too many people do it today. I love them. I want to promote them, and I hope they'll succeed. But there's way too many people that open restaurants.
Well, I think there's a deeper message in that. I'm in the insurance space, and we talk a lot about. And I just started I grew up in a family insurance agency, worked there for 6 years, and then left and started my own.
Wow.
And I built this kind of community of other people around the country through social media that have started their own and whatever. And we talk a lot of, there's a difference between being the top sales producer at an existing agency and starting your own. But people that don't think about that think, I have the best chili. I'm going to open up this chili spot. And to your point, there's so much more that goes into running the day to day. And I think that applies to every industry, right? If you're, there's no problem with being the best number two, if that's what you're good at and can put your head down and do that versus, when I started the insurance agency, it wasn't because I just loved insurance so much and wanted to sell it all. It was a bigger impact besides that, a bigger meaning behind that. So I love that point. So take us back to that night. So you leave this lady's restaurant and you're like, I wish I could drive people here and talk to us about kind of that night.
Yeah. I mean, that was just my thought walking out of that parking lot and then sitting at home that night, just kind of scrolling on Instagram. I mean, Instagram was big at the time, but obviously nothing like it is today. Video for social wasn't something that existed at the time, at least not in any, real sense. It was like long form Facebook videos at the time. So, and obviously YouTube, but reels and vertical video, nobody thought twice about. So, I was just scrolling on social and I knew I do this a lot. I've got the idea of something and if I use the analogy for business with like a bonfire, like I can get the fire started. I suck at keeping it going. I don't want to keep it going. I want to tell you where the trees are and how to chop them down. And, maybe I'm going to go chop them down and pile them up for you. And I'm going to get started, but then it's up to you to make sure that fire doesn't go out. So I knew what the concept was. I didn't know how it was a business or how it made money or how to grow it quickly or any of that kind of stuff. So I just started. I was scrolling through social, like Instagrams, like other restaurant posts and influencer-esque posts in Syracuse, and just trying to think like, all right, what are the hashtags? What are the captions that I see, the words that I see used most? And one of the hashtags was popular at the time, which there's like 200 of them, so not really popular, but was Eat Local CNY. And so I was like, that's the name of the business. So I started the account that night, and I think the next day I just did like a DBA and still had no idea what it was going to be, how it was going to make money. I just knew I needed to start building an influence. So it started out, I was just Central New York. The early days was just me like reposting other people's restaurants' posts of their food. It wasn't me like going out and trying stuff and trying to be like an influencer. It was just trying to get content. So I was doing that for a while. I mean, I was working for Metro Mattress in Buffalo, as their director out there, and still just reposting content from Central New York.
So how long was it a side gig to the point that you took the jump and it was the full-time thing?
I went full-time 4 years ago. Yeah. I probably should have gone earlier, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, talk to us about that. Like, at what stage was the following? And then just to give people, I just looked up a few things. But so right now you have 85,000 followers on Instagram, 8,000 subscribers on YouTube. Facebook's about 126,000.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more in places that I'm missing, but
Yeah.
they're no small numbers, right? So talk to us about that journey of, oh man, this has turned into something that I could do full time and something I enjoy, to cut away from the full time 9 to 5.
Yeah. So the Eat Local New York is 2 businesses, really. I mean, really, it's like 3 or 4. But the main one that makes money, that pays the bills, is marketing for restaurants, social media management, content creation, food photography, all that kind of stuff. So that's the main thing that pays bills. And growing a following, I always thought that you hit a magic number and like one day, just companies will start be like, hey, here's money, come try our food or make a video with our soda. That's not how it works. I spent 2 years ago and interviewed like 10 big content creators in the restaurant space from around the country, and did podcasts with them that I never posted. I just really kept it all for myself. And I was just asking them, like, how do you make money? I mean, these are people with like 500,000 followers on each platform. And what I learned was they all make money the same way I do, which is kind of a letdown, but they're all social media management for restaurants in their area, paid by some restaurants to go out and make a video for them, some big brand deals, and then some platforms pay them based on their, views, like, YouTube ads and TikTok and Facebook. So that was kind of a bummer to find out that, like, oh, I'm still gonna have to work this hard. It doesn't matter if I get 1 million followers, and so they just make a heck of a lot more money than I do at it. The bigger the following they have. And
what was the pivot from the initial, like, I'm going to reshare people's posts to try to drive traffic to this lady's restaurant, to this could really be a business?
There was a Black Friday that I was sitting at home, or it was a Thanksgiving that I was sitting at home, like going through the Black Friday ads. And up until this point, I was just posting everything with my cell phone. And I saw the sales for like Sony cameras at Best Buy. And there's a couple times I'd have clients that were like, man, we really need to get this great picture of this dish. And I'd have to go find a photographer in the area and like contract it out. And so when I saw the ad and it was like a Sony A7 II for $700, I was like, I could afford that. Maybe I should just get a camera and figure out how to do this, and then I can start creating better content. And so that's what I did. And so that started with just like taking a lot of really bad pictures of food in restaurants for a couple of years. And posting it thinking it was like so much better than everybody else's. But that started like a big shift, and then and just like really focus on like creating my own content. I don't know what year it was, maybe around COVID era, like maybe just after COVID. I just started putting myself on camera. Like, video was a thing. I didn't really know how to make videos that would get attention. And so I was just like, I don't know. Do I do B-roll? Do I do B-roll voiceover? Do I do pictures voiceover? Like, what the heck am I supposed to do here? Am I doing like actual reviews? Am I giving everything a score? And so I didn't know what to do. So it was just like, you know what? I'm here at this restaurant, I'm eating this. Here's what I think about it. There you go. See you later. And I just started putting those out. And then I don't know when that shift was, where I was like, oh, this is now the thing, and I have to do this from now on.
Yeah. Were you doing that at the time that you were still at the mattress store?
No. So I left Metro Mattress. I forget what year. I went to work for Cafe Cubal in Syracuse as their wholesale coffee salesperson and social media person. And I was there for about 1.5 years or 2 years. Maybe a year and a half. And then I got a call one day from Gearhars, which is like a small wares equipment restaurant supply store in Syracuse. And the vice president at the time was like an avid listener to the podcast and reached out, and he was like, hey, we're always looking to add great people to the team. I love your podcast. You have this influence. Why don't you come work for us? I went to work for them as their marketing person for maybe a year, a little over a year. I got started like the week before COVID. And so after like the lockdown, so it was an awesome time to be in the restaurant industry. Actually, that was a great time to be in the restaurant industry. It was scary for a lot of them, but a lot of them made a ton of money. But anyways, so I was there, and sort of as things started to open back up, really started to open back up, and all these restaurants had all this extra money, I started to get flooded with inbounds for marketing. I mean, just flooded. And so it got to a point where I was making I was bringing in 3 or 4 times more than I was making in my job from social media. And
so at that time, was the marketing side not really official as far as you were advertising it, and people were just coming to you and saying, hey, could you do this for us? And did that just kind of snowball into that? Was that never part of the kind of original plan for it?
I never really advertised for I mean, like I've got a Instagram account and I'll post my thoughts and blah, blah, blah. And here's some pictures I took. You should hire me. But I've never really aggressively gone out there and tried to advertise the marketing services. I have it's funny, like I feel like I'm a good salesman, but I'm very insecure of my own value, and I always have been. And so always like underselling, over delivering, undercharging, which is a terrible thing to do when you're a small business owner, especially when it's full time. But so I had a lot of work, but I wasn't like the margin really wasn't there to be like, hey, great.
Yeah.
Until there was just this moment right after the reopen from the pandemic. And I went to the owner of Gerhard's at the time. I was like, dude, I am crushed with business and my thing. What if you bought my marketing business and then you started offering you've got all these owners coming in, you're doing all the design and build out for their new projects long before they ever think about marketing. What if all of a sudden you can start pitching the marketing from day one also, and you'll have me on your team? And so he made me an offer and I wanted to take it. My wife was like, you shouldn't do it. And so I listened to her and I was like, you know what? Never mind. I'm going to quit and just do this full time.
Are you thankful you didn't listen?
The first year and a half, I was like, this was stupid. Why did I do this? You were so wrong. And then now it's gotten to a point where it's solid, but honestly, if it wasn't for the influence that I have with all the it wasn't for the influence I have with my Eat Local accounts, the marketing for restaurants thing really wouldn't matter. Nobody, it would be very hard to go out there and really sell against another social media company that's marketing for restaurants.
Yeah. Would the guy that was at Metro Mattress ever think this would be your full-time thing in your life right now?
No, probably not. Depends on which time I was at Metro Mattress, but
which store?
Yeah, depends on which store I was at. Yeah, no, definitely not.
So I wanted to, kind of half this episode with obviously learning about your story and how you got to where you are. But I think the content creation influencer thing just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and there's opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think people just don't know, where do I start? And with the few that I've talked to in our short conversation, there's no business plan. There's no playbook. Like you said, I just came back from this restaurant, started this account.
Yeah.
This led to this arm of this business, this opportunity. But take us through a day in the life of what it looks like, and the opportunity in the influencer space, and what you'd maybe say to those people that are listening of man, I have this idea. I just don't know how to execute it, or I have this cool story and want to share it, and I don't know where to start.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, so kind of 2 questions there, right? How do you do it? And then what's a day in the life look like? A day in the life can vary wildly. So it's today, it's a pretty low key day. I had personal training, and then met up with an account that was filming in they're converting an old school building from the 1900s into luxury apartments. So I was filming updates with the owner there. And then it was pretty relaxed. I went and sold some silver, returned some Amazon stuff, and thought, man, these mundane tasks take too much time. And then I was sitting in the car in the parking lot here for 30 minutes posting for some clients and scrolling through their comments. And then I'm doing this and I'll go home and be done for the day. And then tomorrow will be completely different. I'll take my son to daycare at 7. I'll hit the road out to Rochester, pray to God that it's not windy, because there's nothing worse than driving from Syracuse to Rochester when it's windy in
What's
the wintertime.
what's the bird? What is the
Montezuma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the wide open right there. You better hang on to your steering wheel.
Exactly. It doesn't. There could be no snow. Like there's no snow in the forecast. It's just that wind gusts and you can't see anything. And the long way to go is like an extra 30 minutes, so it's not worth it.
Right.
So tomorrow I've got. Tomorrow's going to be a terrible day to be me. For some people would be like, "You're crazy." I have to be at Farmhouse Table Midtown in Rochester at 9. I have to be at Shikara Sushi at 10, Capone's Italian Eatery at 11. They're a client, so I'm creating content for them, but those days are awful because he makes 5 or 6 specials that I have to film to make content for him to post, but I also have to eat each and every single one of those things. And even if it's just a bite or two, by the time you leave, you never want to think about food. And then at 1 o'clock, I have to be at a place called Pub on the Green in Ontario and then make my way back home. So it sounds great, but I have to go eat like 10 things tomorrow.
Right.
And in each video, hopefully the food tastes good. In each video, I have to be like, it was amazing. You should go try it.
So getting back to like that influencer thing, talk to us about the seasons of like creating the business. Like it was just you starting out with the cell phone. You told us a story about Best Buy buying the camera. I assume now you have a team behind you or somewhat of a process down in different things. But take us through that of again, those people that are listening back to that influencer topic of, I have this idea or whatever it might be.
Yeah. I mean, today for the team, I've got an assistant, Lindsay, who does a lot of the communication with restaurants, either the ones that I'm trying to go, like I'm contacting them to book an appointment, like to book a video. She takes care of that, reaches out to them, schedules it, sends them like how it's going to work, make sure that they don't try to give me 5 different dishes when I'm there and I can only have one, and coordinates all that kind of stuff and sets the schedule. She also will take my notes and pictures from each week and send out our email blast now and write blogs that go on the website for each restaurant based off my stuff. And then she's helping us build out the Eat Local New York Restaurant Week that's happening in April. So Lindsay does all that. I've got Dan, who's a freelance video guy. He has space in the office and he does all the editing for Eat Local social media. So that's great. I can just upload the videos to him and then he'll edit them and they're pretty much ready to go from there. So it's really the 3 of us. I've got some other freelance guys that will come in and help with the podcast, or if it's a bigger shoot, they'll come in and help, like videographers and whatnot. But, it's not a high margin business still. And so it's difficult to go hire the team that really would help you grow.
Yeah.
And I'm really risk averse in the business, I've never taken out any loans for this or anything like that. I've made a lot of stupid decisions. This one spent $45,000 on an app. Ask me how that went. And, other than that, I just don't really spend a ton of money on things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got a new idea for a new content channel that I'm going to launch soon. And so I just dumped $500 into getting the equipment and the things I'll need to film those episodes. But that's pretty much it. I won't go crazy.
Right.
So that's that. Social media clients, it's me. I've got 10 clients that I either create content for and post for them, or I just create content and they post, or I've got one client, I do all of their event planning and graphic design and all that kind of stuff. And I'll utilize 1 or 2 freelancers out in Rochester for that work every once in a while. But
what's been the biggest challenge over the last couple of years?
Being able to really understand what is the avenue I should go after, and then being able to just manage time. I mean, I'm up at 5 a.m. every day. I'm up at 5. I work until about 6:30 when our son's up. Everybody gets ready for the day or daycare. Most days my wife takes them to daycare. They're out the door at 7. 6:45, 7, and then I'm either still at home working or I'm ready and I'm at my office working or at meetings. I stop at 5 to go home and have dinner with the family every day. They're in bed by 7:15, 7:30. I'm working until midnight. It's the same thing.
Small business owner. Yeah. Love it. Over and over and over. Yeah. I just had something. Oh, if you had to, over this whole journey of starting that account, and hoping you get 50 people to go to that one restaurant or whatever it is, from 0 followers to what's your total following right now across all? Do you have an idea?
like 280, 270, 280.
So to get to that point, if you had, and I know this is going to be hard to do, but if you had to pinpoint like one successful thing that you did, is it consistency? Is it open-mindedness to know that you could go down these different avenues? Like for someone that's listening that wants to create a following, has that idea, whatever it is, what would that one pinpoint be?
Consistency, for sure. I mean, I post every single day. You know, during the fair, I was posting 3 or 4 times a day. And things are changing. Like Instagram just made a huge change where like, I don't know if it's going to be beneficial to post multiple times a day. TikTok, like if you could blast out 12 posts a day, you should. You know, but yeah, I wish that I had made I'd say one of the dumb mistakes I made, 2 of the dumb mistakes I made was, one was making it all about me at a restaurant, eating food, saying, wow, like that's what the channel is.
So do you say that in the sense of that's what's like expected now?
Yeah, for sure. I have a content creator in New York City who I like will create content like 1 or 2 posts a month. It doesn't matter what the video is about. Those videos always underperform whenever he posts.
Because it's not you.
Yeah. And it's weird to me that the algorithm has figured that out, but it has. And so, yeah, his videos tank. And my videos don't do great. Like on Instagram, I am struggling to get out of the consistent like 10 to 16,000 view mark, and trying to get consistently above that. Facebook is my biggest platform for sure. TikTok is like hit or miss. Some might be 2,000, some might be 200,000, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I'd say that was probably one of the biggest mistakes. Like I envisioned more of a media company. Like I always wanted to Eat Local to be somewhere between Barstool Sports and Eater, you know, like talking about restaurants and food, but creating really great content and a ton of it. And just whatever. And I don't know if I could still transition to that if I wanted to, if it would just take like time of the content sucking and not getting views in order to kind of transition to that thing. But for the most part, people just, you know, if it's not me on camera, like I'm here at this restaurant, then it doesn't really work as well.
Right. It's crazy to me with the algorithm talk, and I know nothing about this, just so I can preface this, but like how just certain things hit, certain things don't, and there's really no rhyme or reason behind it. My friend has 833 followers. The only reason I know this is because of what I'm going to say. And he lives up in Barneveld, and he was behind an Amish buggy, and they were skiing behind the buggy, and he posted it, and he got like 2 million views on Instagram.
Yeah.
Well, which just makes sense.
I saw that video this week, I think this weekend, right?
Okay, there you go. Yeah, but it like took that one thing to hit. And I mean, he's not creating content around Amish people skiing behind a buggy. Maybe he should.
Yeah, right.
But I think that, you know, everyone's kind of like, well, what's the secret sauce? What's secret sauce? Anybody I've talked to with your level of success in social media is like consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency.
Yeah, I would advise people to not get into it. I would advise people to delete every social media platform app off their phone. Like, get rid of it immediately. It's the worst thing for us. It has made so many of us it's made a majority of us so ugly. I'm one of those people. We are so self-centered and only focused on ourselves and like, how many views did I get? What did this comment say? Well, how come I'm not getting more attention? You know, it's made me hyper critical of anybody else that's in the space that's like sort of doing what I'm doing.
What a great perspective.
It is the ugliest thing I think that's ever happened to, you know, us.
Well, and I think talking about the concept too of people that are starting, what's the first thing they look at? How many views, how many likes, how many comments, this and that. And if you're building something, you go back to the consistency thing.
Yeah.
Talk to us about some of your success stories, because with all of that said, there's no doubt that you've highlighted amazing businesses, maybe, you know, brought more than 50 people in the door, certainly from it, but talk to us about some of those.
There was, I mean, this is I'll give you the yin and the yang. A restaurant owner in the capital region. I went out there, made a video, and just reached out. Actually, I think their tourism board, that's right. It was a paid thing with their tourism board, and they selected 5 restaurants for me to go to, and this was one of them. And so I went out there and just fell in love with everything. The guy had worked for like a New York State restaurant chain for like 10 years. Always thought about like, when I get my own place, I'm going to do this. So he gets his own place. Him and his wife are running the restaurant. They're making incredible food. I mean, some of the best wings I've ever had. This porchetta sandwich, it's incredible. It's a barbecue place. It's just awesome. So I go out there, I post a video. It's my first time in the capital region, so I don't really think I have many people that are going to see the video, or like if they do, I don't think many people are going to go to that restaurant just because like what's my influence in a place I've never been before.
Sure.
And so I posted the video. I think the video did good. I don't think it went crazy, but it wasn't a dud. And I posted like 2 or 3 videos from the restaurant over a couple months. Like, I don't know, 6 months, 7 months later, we get an email from him that says, hey, we opened the restaurant, we were struggling, and I found your page and I started following it. And I would go to bed at night and pray and ask God to send you to my restaurant to do a video. And after, I don't know, a week or 2 of doing that, finally I got pissed off and I unfollowed you. And I said, you know what? My success isn't going to be based on this guy showing up. It's going to be based on what I can do. That next day, after I unfollowed you, you DM'd me and said, hey, I'm coming to town. Can I schedule a time to come in? And as a result, they had to like double their staff. He went from working 40 to 80 hours a week, just flooded with business for months and months and months of just people coming in. We saw your video. We saw your video. We saw your video. And so that's an incredible, that's awesome.
That's
like,
so cool.
The other side is one of my very good friends who has a restaurant in Syracuse called me up and was like, dude, we're not doing great. Can you come in and do a video and help us? I'm like, yeah, sure. So, I looked at his menu. I was like, why don't you do this vodka cutlet parm? Like almost nobody in Syracuse does chicken cutlets. I was like, yours is good. Why don't we do that? I was like, I think that'll get a lot of people in. He's like, great. I go in, we make the video. I feel like I do a good job with the video. The food's good. Post the video. Nothing crazy in views, but it's not a dud. Like 4 people showed up. Like made 0 difference. Like I have no idea why. He has no idea why. But it goes from like one guy who's like, I've changed his life, to then like one of my best friends who no impact in his business whatsoever. I wish I could control it. If I could, I'd do it every time. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah.
What a great success story, though. I mean, and that's what keeps you going, I'm sure. I mean, the stuff behind that.
That's awesome to hear. I try not to take too much consideration of that. Because if I take too much consideration of that, I'm also going to take too much consideration of the person that comments and says they wish I would choke on the next chicken tender I eat. Right. So, you kind of just got to let it, I had a guy comment last night, I wish I had your life. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You have to be very particular, especially now. I just in the past 4 months started considering my health. I'm 39, I've got a 3-year-old, fat. And so now I've got to start really being aware of what I'm eating, especially when I'm not filming.
Sure.
And even be more aware of what I'm eating when I'm filming, and not overeat and be like, I'm going to have a bite and don't try to give me more than 1 dish. Because I'm not going to be able to say no if you're sitting there like, please try our, egg salad. It's the best in the world. And I'm going to feel bad and I'm going to eat it. And that's going to make me unhealthy. So it's dealing with that. It's dealing with people commenting all the time, sending you DMs, just being annoying. This one guy DMs me like 4 times a day, just thumbs up. He's like, I'm going to keep doing it until you go to this restaurant. It's like, dude, come on. Or there's people that are just like, this guy sucks. Why won't he die? There's plenty of those people. There's chefs who don't like you and just comment and say, this is a terrible. I went to Binghamton for the first time over the summer, and I went around and did like a food tour. And there was this one place that like everybody I've ever met, it's like, these are the best wings that have ever existed in the universe. And so we go there. They never responded to us for like a request to come in and make a video. So I just showed up. We bought food. We made a video. Like, who cares, right? So it wasn't a great video because usually I couldn't get in the kitchen and like film them. And, so that means the video is kind of boring. It's me sitting there for a minute eating food. So the wings weren't good. Like we ordered, I think, 3 different flavors. The first plate that came down had a feather on it. And so it's like, all right, I know it's a chicken, but still like 3 different people in the kitchen could have caught that. And it was like right on the top wing. Like even the server could have seen that and like pulled it off. But there's a feather on it. And then the flavors just weren't good. The wings weren't good. The sauces weren't good. They were trying to be different, but it sucked. And I almost never post negative videos. And so this video is just like, I came here. You all said it was the best. I'm trying them. I like this one. I don't like these two. Here's why. There it is. Some dude who has a Facebook like restaurant promotion page in Binghamton went through every post I've ever made about chicken wings and took a screenshot. Now, when I eat a chicken wing, I put the whole thing in my mouth because when I'm in public, I don't want to like I'm not going to play into the stereotype of like, look at the fat guy with sauce on his face. So I like put the whole thing in my mouth so that way I don't get sauce on my mouth. The guy took the screenshot right at this point on 70 posts, posted 70 pictures of me, wrote like a 4,000 word essay about why I suck, and posted it. And I mean, I had people DMing me and friends that I haven't heard from in years calling me like, you got to look at this thing. It's like, I'm not looking at it.
Yeah. Which is probably the same guy that DMs and says, I want your life.
Right. Yeah. So you have to deal with that stuff.
Sure.
You know,
I appreciate you sharing that side of it because everyone looks at like, you shared your day today. Pretty good day.
Yeah.
You know, and someone can look at that and say, that's the day I want. Let me, whatever. I appreciate you sharing the downside of it.
Yeah.
What does keep you going and what's next?
I have this really strong the desire to be needed. I like attention for myself. And I think that like, if you're going to do this, if you're going to be like on camera and be an influencer, you have to understand that. You have to be okay with that. Like, and you also have to be aware of it because if you're not aware that you like attention and you're out there doing it, you're just annoying. So honestly, the desire to be needed is really what keeps me going, you know, like knowing we have a client in Syracuse, like we promote the heck out of their Bills games and they had a ton of people there yesterday for, you know, and I was part of that and that's what keeps me going.
That's so cool.
Then like the success, you know, and then what if it's not successful, trying to figure out why and how to get people there. And influencing is really you're just a salesman, you know, you're trying to figure out who is your demographic that you're talking to, who are the people that are following you, what do they want, and then trying to present it. You know, when you're an influencer on like the Eat Local side, I'm just going out there to try to find food and talk about it. When you're doing marketing for other people, it's like, all right, who is their client? You know, who are their avatars? What do they want? And how do you sell it to them? You know, how do you get them interested in it? And so that keeps me going.
Yeah. What's next? What's the next year, 2, 5, 10 look like?
I'd like to figure out a good way to do some different content on the Eat Local page that still gets the same amount of attention. I don't know what that is yet. And because I can't post different content on Eat Local, it's too big now to be like, I'm going to try this. Is just now if I want to try something different, I have to come up with a new channel for it. And so we have my dad's cooking channel. It's called Cooking with My Dad. He's 73.
I saw that.
You know, doesn't know anything about social. And so those are fun, you know. He's gotten some brand deals, you know, from it. So that's cool.
Awesome.
So we're still like trying to pursue that. Still just going after that. And I'm starting a new cooking thing, completely different channel. I'm going to say it, but I mean, who knows? In 3 months, I may decide this is stupid and I don't like it, and I might delete it. But for the time, it's going to be called Tailgate Cooking. It's just cooking food on camping, cooking equipment on the tailgate of my truck. And that's going to start in just like the woods. And then I think I might turn it into travel of like going to different restaurants around New York and like cooking with the owner or the chef in the parking lot. So I think that'll be fun. Yeah.
So wrapping up here, but is it mainly upstate that you're focused on? I know you said that one guy down in the city is he still doing stuff, or is it mainly?
He still does some stuff. In an ideal world, I would be in New York like 3 or 4 times a year and just create, you know, enough content to post out. But yeah. So usually when I do that, I like fly down at 6 in the morning, spend a day running around the city, and then fly back at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Very cool. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah,
This was
of course.
fun. I really appreciate you taking the time. We're going to get you back in time for dinner too.
Sweet.
Which is
Thanks,
perfect.
man.
So Eat Local New York. That's what the pages are. Everyone
Yep.
wants to check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. Everybody, that's another episode of the Make an Impact podcast. Make sure to check out all the cool stuff Anthony's got going on. Until next time, go out there, lead with purpose, and make an impact in someone's life, even if that's your own. My name's Stephen Turnbull. We'll see you next week. Take care.